Welcome everyone to the Selection Table Live. We're waiting for Paolo, but to my left, we've got the fantastic Big Ian. Ian, how you doing? You're always positive.
I don't know if I've been too positive as of late. It's hard to find many of them. Obviously, it would be doing a lot better if we got the win on the weekend and looked like we were turning things around. But look, that's what we're here to do tonight. Try and make some changes, at least on a team selection, and see what we can do.
Mate, I think winning's overrated, to be honest. I know a few Port fans and they're fucking miserable. Mr. Lekdog, my co-host of the team show when the real football club do the teams. It's not as good as us. But how are you doing, Lekdog?
I'm well, mate, considering. I mean, we're not surprised anymore, are we, by the results? It's still disappointing. It wasn't a very good game. We're going to make, again, some big changes today, I'd predict. The annoying thing, Bob, is that everything we say in the teams happens on the field. Like, we predict it every week. We've become predictable, and I don't like that.
I think it's because you and me getting our DeLorean after this show, and we go a week into the future, and we just reveal it. But I am Pommy, as you know. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll run the intro so Paolo can get in, and then we'll start this show. Hey, look at that. I'm a genius as well. I knew Paolo would come in just at the intro. That is preparation. That is preparation. Paolo, welcome to the show. How are you doing? Second show back from the UK. Do you miss proper beer yet?
I miss England, man. I miss London. I really miss it. But it's good to be back, even though our football team's playing like absolute excrement at the moment, but we get through. I've got my Arsenal bobblehead because it's bobblehead week this week. The Gunnosaurus is here, and I've also been lambasted for backing in my team to win a game against Adelaide on the social. So thank you for backing me up on that, Brownie, as well.
No worries, mate. It was good.
I thought you were very professional, Paolo. I listened to you on the radio after the Blues game. You did very well to talk about cricket for 15 minutes. It was very, very good to deflect.
Hey, Tommy, we're going to be sparring in the next month and a half, my friend.
Yeah, I've had an interesting time on social media because I try and be everyone's agony aunt. And then last night I was a bit bored. So I just thought I'd wind everyone up with a bit of hope, saying at least the Ashes is coming out. At least you don't have to support Australia, realising I have an exclusive Australian audience. We will be rivals for 3 or 4 weeks. But...
Hey, my mail is that Carlton is going to incorporate Bazball into the second half of the season. That's my mail.
Hey, well, that'll be good. That means we'll win. Well, we'll look forward to that. I'm looking forward to the Ashes coming back to its rightful place. But obviously, we've got the team selection, and I'm excited about this one because this is going to be probably the most important.
Have we just lost Pommy?
I think we may have.
We'll be back.
Oh, sorry.
You just buzzed out.
Oh, yeah. So this is the most important one we've got for a while, I think. This is like interesting thoughts, chat and esteemed colleagues. What are the thoughts on this one? Are we going to go extreme or are we going to stick with what we know?
I did a lot of spite selections and omissions. I was angry. I was upset. And, the team's cooked, so let's play the players that are going to be here next year, or we think we would like to have at the club next year. So some opportunity to take a look at a few of our younger players. We don't have heaps, but an opportunity to look at them. And I think Paddy Dow, I think he finally might get let's give him more than 20 minutes. Let's give him more than 20 minutes.
Oh, what a club. What a club we are.
Tackling machine. Tackling machine is Dow.
Leading the tackles, mate. It's been on for 6 seconds.
Mate, he was good. But I mean, this was the list of miscreants that took to the field against Essendon. is the way we'd call them. As you can see, Voss names the team in a peculiar way. Oh, he's centre-half forward, which ironically would have been nice if someone was in the forward line in the first half, to be fair.
That would be great.
Even if it was Matty Owens. But obviously, I'll start with you, Paolo.
Yes, sir.
When you looked at the game and you watched the game and then you look at the team selection, is there anything there that screams at you, it went wrong there?
Not really, to be honest. I mean, who else were you going to bring in? Like the one I thought was stiff. There was probably like Ed Curnow being played, and I continually single him out. I don't want to because it's not the right thing to do. But I mean, he's tagged Zach Merritt, who didn't have a huge influence on the game, but Ed didn't have a tackle. That must be a record. That'd have to be a record to actually come in and play run with roll and not lay a tackle. That's got to be some kind of has to be some kind of record. I'm convinced. But I do think we set up not to lose. That's the predicament. It was not so much the team that was selected. I think it's the way that we go out there and apply ourselves tactically and structurally. And I just don't think these boys. I mean, no matter what team you pick at the moment, I don't think you can really change up a hell of a lot. And that's the frustrating thing about doing this is that. How many changes have we made doing this thing for the last couple of weeks? And they've actually made changes to personnel, and it hasn't worked. Nothing's worked, unfortunately. So, the Ed Curnow one baffled me. And Paddy Dow, I know we haven't really sung his praises, but by golly, he should be in the team after what he's done the last 2 weeks.
Paddy Dow has been in every POM team selection since we started. Just so you know.
There you go.
Not saying I told you so, but
you didn't tell me if we didn't pick him, the rest of the players had become shit.
Yeah, it's the Dow effect.
I'll take the blame. Lekdog, what did you see with the game? And chat, throw in any issues you thought you saw in there as well. But Lekdog, what did you think structurally?
I thought, I mean, to be fair, when we did the teams, Pito was in the team. I thought we were probably too tall. Thought we probably carried one too many talls. The Ed Curnow thing, I've chucked a clip in the YouTube comments from our previous POM where we said if you're going to pick a completely negating player, you're going to lose the game and they're just going to send Zach Merritt forward to kick goals, which he did. I hated the selection last week. I mean, it's kind of just rehashing what we talked about on Thursday. Ed Curnow, again, with you, Paolo. He is not I'm not angry at Ed Curnow for being in the team. I'm angry at the team for picking Ed Curnow every single week. It's systemic of I think it highlights how little faith they have in either the game plan or B, either the players to execute the game plan. Because they must think Ed does what he's being told, whereas guys like Binns, who has been knocking down the door, Dow has been knocking down the door, they don't get the opportunities. So it must be a trust thing. Anyway, I not that I really thought we were going to win. Obviously, we're positive on the Thursday or the Friday show, POM. We try to be, we want to tip the Blues. We want us to win, but on paper, we've got the better team than Essendon. But we weren't even. It wasn't even close.
It's a shame. It's the Australian Football League, not the Australian Origami League. Unfortunately, Masaka makes a great point here, and this is something that I mentioned in my review as well. It's like it does feel like Carlton can't multitask. They are like the stereotypical male. It's like they hold one thing down, but then two other things fall off the bandwagon, and that's my fear with Ed Curnow when I see him in the side. I feel like he doesn't do a traditional tag row. If you actually watch him, he got his hands to the handball quite a bit, which you don't really get a stat for. So he didn't have to tag in the traditional sense, but he stopped that easy ball out to Merritt. But it was weird because he then kind of looked lost once Merritt went forward. It kind of looked bad. And I agree with like Peter V and everyone else saying it's too slow with Ed there. I wanted to see Dow there and say, let's take the game to them and say, this is what we do. Ian, what did you think about the team selection?
Oh, pretty much the same as the other two lads. Like, I hate to single him out. Feel like I do it every single week, but like Ed and the tagging thing, I think what annoyed me about the selection was that Essendon's midfield was they had so many players out of it. There was no Parish, there was no Shield. So I thought it was a really good opportunity for us to actually back in our guys and try to exploit that area, and then to take away one player from that in a negating role and bringing in Ed. It just seemed like, no, we have the advantage, use it. And it just didn't work for me. I don't like using a tagging role in 2023, and I thought it was working against what we wanted to do in that midfield. But yeah, I kind of agree with Paolo. It almost seems like it doesn't really matter who else you put in there at this stage. There's so many other issues going on that it doesn't really matter to a great degree. Probably the one thing that annoyed me a little bit, and maybe this is not needed, but probably like Binns being one of the holdover players. I think that the way he's going at the moment, if they didn't want to make him the sub, I would have much rather him getting another game in the twos to just keep his form, as he's someone I want to see come in either this week or definitely past the bye. So the more footy he can get, the better. I thought if you're going to have a holdover player that you're maybe not going to have in the team, make it someone that maybe doesn't need that match fitness and that confidence going forward.
The Binns one was weird because that would allude to me that there was someone playing not fully fit. The club has confirmed Jack Martin wasn't sub due to an injury. It was management. It was tactical, which would suggest to me that they always knew Martin was going to play limited minutes. But that would then also assume that maybe they weren't sure he'd play the full game and Binns might be a late in. And I agree with you. I thought that would have been a Fogarty role because he's been around the bush. Binns definitely needs the game time. I think personally, I don't like the fact he's had a week off, but there it is. But that being said, thanks to the wonderful people in chat who had suggestions. We always listen here. I listen to you guys and girls. You wanted ins and outs, so I've added an ins and outs column for you.
Hey.
Yay.
We always try and add. So as you can see, we'll pick on me this week. I chopped. I got my axe out. So the thinking of this is the players that are out there, with the exception of maybe one or two, are the type of players that I think will be squad players or won't be there next year. So I have tried to pick a team that I think are guys that we can continue with. Guys that we can continue with in 2023, 2024, or might have trade value in TDK's case, because I don't think he'll sign. But I went Kent Wheater inside, Doc McGovern, Chincotta. I actually think Carlton played their best down the back when we did drop young and went a bit smaller, tried to mirror that Port game style. I think it makes them force the ball a bit further forward. Surprise people, I went Sherratt and Walsh on the wings. I've gone back to it. Reason being, I want to heavily rotate that on the ball combination. And I feel that if we can get them out in space, Walsh did his best work when he went on the wing. Sherratt seems to rotate there. Just give him the full game and let them be out in space and encourage the spread from our better ball users. Martin Cunningham's in. Charlie Kerno, Mackay. Fisher. I looked at the reses and Motlop needs a break. I feel. Pitternet comes in. Dow Kennedy, TDK, Binns makes his debut on the interchange bench. Cowan comes in and Boyd. I did like Carlton's 20-minute foray of having Boyd as a high half forward. So I figured we've got a bit of a rotation there. And Josh Honey as my sub, I looked and I was like, well, who do I bring in? There's no one fit. So it was Honey or Fogarty. And I thought Honey does play the Martin role in VFL, and Martin is the most likely or Cunners to need to come out. So I need a guy that's a little bit taller that runs up the flank. So I tried to cover. That is the best that I could do. Questions, chat, questions, my illustrious selection panel.
I don't mind the mindset. I think we've all axed quite a few players. I haven't seen everyone else's team. The one I'll note, just before we get ahead of the chat. I'm not sure any of us had Hewitt coming back in, but apparently he's been ruled healthy this week, so he might come in. If he's not in any of our teams, that's the only reason why we didn't think he'd be available. So just getting ahead of that.
I didn't pick Hewitt personally because I think there's too many of the same midfielders in there. And I actually like Kennedy had the hardest job in the midfield. He ran with Hobbs. And then when he moved to Caldwell, Hobbs started getting good. And then they moved him back and Caldwell started getting good. So I actually think he can do it. So, and like I say, that was the only reason. I thought Hewitt, I'd like to see him play VFL because his form, I thought, was poo before injury.
It was.
Agreed.
So I think Ed Kerno and Co. Carroll's meant to be coming back this week. They get to protect Carroll. Carroll gets an easy VFL game. That was my thought. Any other questions? Chat, fire away.
Cunningham, I like. Fantastic. Brilliant.
Big time.
Even though he spells his name wrong.
Yeah. Did you put a double? Yes, that's right. You've got the proper.
No, he spells his name wrong.
David Cunningham spells his name wrong. That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Isn't that a weird one N?
Yeah.
It's very strange. Feels like an accident.
I don't trust it. I mean, people not liking the honey thing. I figured Fogarty deserves a full game, if anything.
Yeah.
So,
what about Fisher? Did he? I thought I saw him behind the ball a bit in the reserves. How did he look, Pom? You did the VFL review today, I think. How did he look?
It was a weird one. He played halfback 95% of the game, which there's no way in hell they're training him as a halfback. I think this is Lockie O'Brien last year. He played halfback for a game when he was dropped and then came back into the seniors. Voss confirmed at the time that was to try and work on his defensive craft and put him in that position. I figure that Voss has got an obsession, in his own words, with defensive mindset in the midfield. I figured that was maybe he was forcing him to do that. I didn't mind Fisher's game when he went back forward for the second half. He got the behind, was unlucky with his goal, created a few bits with Cunningham. So I figured that's his position. And I think he reminds me of Nick Graham at the moment. Too good for VFL, but probably the level below AFL. And yeah, like I say, it was either Fogarty, but Fogarty isn't a forward. It's 90% midfield, 10% forward. So I figured if I play him forward, it's a waste. That was my thinking. Fisher's the only one. I was a threadbare. I was determined to drop Akers and Motlop, right? And then as I was picking the team, I was like, fuck, this is hard to drop them.
Yeah.
I definitely did my omissions before I looked at who I could bring in.
Yeah, me too.
I did. And that was it. Like, I just felt like doing the ratings for the last 2 weeks, our wings have been shithouse. And the ball lives on the wing. So
yeah, it's our whole game plan is go to the wing and our wings are bad.
I figured Chera has an obsession with cutting back into the corridor. So does Walsh. They're better when they're outside because at the moment Walsh is being Audi Cripps and it's killing his game. I love the fact they gave him 30 minutes out on the wing. So I figured let's give them a full game against Gold Coast to spread their wings and fly a bit and try and make something happen because our entries inside 50 are shocking and at least Walsh and Cripps like that short option, but they also boom it to the square. So try and force that a little bit. And then it gives Binns just all he's got to do is come on and kick ass.
Yep.
Do you think maybe, Pommy, and I don't, not to harp on, but maybe taking Chera out of the role he's at now might cause a few other problems to play devil's advocate?
He's 40-60 on the wing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and he seems to be the secondary ball user when he's there, which is Dow's best position in VFL. So I thought Dow comes in, Dow gets a lot of the ball then, right? Which I think Dow needs. I think if Dow does what he usually does and is the fifth midfield rotation, he's going to look shit.
Yeah.
Give him the full game and say, we're going to feed you 30 times, make it happen. Chera looks marvellous when he goes out wide in that rest anyway. It really stands out. So give them the week. give them this week with the week off next week to try and set a standard somewhere. Try something different was my thinking.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a good point.
I don't know if I'm crazy. You guys can confirm this. I was watching, when I was going back, I was watching as much of the game again as I could from last week. I feel like Cher is almost, particularly when he's around the balls, like doing what Hewitt did last year, kind of playing him as that second possession in the chain of possessions. And I think it's really suiting him. And I think his success is probably why we've seen guys like Hewitt drop off and then Matt Kennedy get pushed around. But I like this mix that you've put together, Pom, a lot more than what we're actually seeing. Because I think you have to reward a Matty Kennedy, you have to reward a Paddy Dow, and Cher is in good enough form that I think he could pretty much perform wherever you put him. So I don't mind this mix at all.
Well, you see, and I agree, and that the mix as well, Adrian, you're like this. With Cripper, I've noticed Cripper's role, he's gone back to just being the full-time dog's body. And in this system, Kennedy has got to be given a bit of respect and given that full-time dog's body role. So Kennedy effectively becomes my Ed Kerno. He's going to watch the big guy. Cripps is going to get the ball out. And Cripps is basically going to be Fogarty in VFL. That's how I would word it to Dow. He's going to be a better version of Fogarty. He's going to get the ball. He's going to protect you. And he's going to give you it on a silver platter to kick out to Chera like you do Bins every game. Chera's better than Bins. You've got Walsh to the other side, and then your mate Bins is going to be there. All you've got to do, Dow, is be Dow, and Cripps is going to protect you. He's a big oaf. Anyone gets near you, Cripps hits him. That's the thinking. It's attacking football. We call it pom ball.
Easier said than done. That's the problem with it at the moment. That's the issue, isn't it?
Well, I've tried to put players in their best chance of success. That was the plan.
Yeah.
And down the back, McGovern has been really good one-on-one this year. Let Chincott, Assad, Doc, Kemp be aggressive. And you've got Cunners there, and Gary will back me up. He's the Nigella Lawson of football. You win games with Cunners. Fact.
Just that you don't see her often now.
Hey, mate, if you've got a saved on your Skybox, you do. Ian, let's pick on you. Talk us through it, my friend.
Yeah, so I definitely could have made more changes, I think, looking at it, but I've tried to go somewhat, I guess, simple with it. I'll firstly go with like my first change with Dow straight in for all the reasons we touched on earlier, and then same reason that Ed Kerno makes way. Like, I don't like the tagging role. 0 tackles from Ed, 0 clearances, and when he has, I think it was like 13 CBAs and he's in there that much, you need more either way from him. I don't think we got that, and if we're going to play him through the middle, I'd much rather see Dow in there. I think he showed a lot more than a lot of players, even in just one quarter of footy. 3 tackles, 7 disposals, got a clearance, got 2 inside 50s. He deserves a crack. Like, still don't believe they'll do it. I have a big feeling he'll just not even be a sub this week, but change it up. Do something different in the middle. He's been playing well enough when he has been called upon. Then I brought in Pitt for Silvani. I think Pitt's an obvious in if he's good to go. Silvani may be stiff to miss because he did have those tackle numbers higher than a lot, 3, which shows there's definitely some effort there. But I just didn't still love his game that much. And I think with the Koning staying in my team, I don't like them all being there. So and I don't want Silvani to be the second ruck either. So for me, Silvani comes out of that a little bit slow, just probably not offering enough in that forward half that I'm looking to do with this team at the moment, needing that pace, needing that run. Cowan comes in for Young. I hate singling out players, but Young was horrific against the Bombers. Just so many times he was out of position, too slow, makes so many poor errors that lead to goals. I think ideally I would have maybe liked a Marchbank in or a Durden, but Durden's injured. Marchbank missed through soreness, injury. Who bloody knows at this stage? So I don't feel confident bringing any of those guys in. So I'm kind of happy to go with the mix we have there. And instead for Young, because I just don't want him in this team at all right now, is Lockie Cowan to add a bit more pace to it, because McGovern's been okay. But like you say, Pommy, one-on-one, he seems to be doing okay. You've got Kent that can play a bit more of that interceptor, and then just try and rely on some rebound and bring in some pace, bring in guys that want to transition and rebound the football. It's been an issue for us in moving it outside D50. Our kick-ins are probably the worst in the competition at trying to generate any kind of movement. It's play on, maybe. It's either a short kick, and then that short kick goes 70 meters out of play, or we play on, kick it 70 meters, and it goes out of bounds. So it's the same thing. Change it up. Bring me some pace into it with Lockie Cowan. He's been playing great in the twos. Then Cunner's in for Motlop. Motlop's just not playing great football. He seems indecisive when he has it as well. There was that one where he probably could have ran the whole distance or handballed or done anything. Instead, he tries to like check-sided on the run and it misses, and it just feels like him at the moment, down on confidence. Go back to the twos. You didn't apply the pressure either with 0 tackles, 0 goals. So for me, he's an out. And then Cunners, it's so simple. He has to play impressive in the twos, exactly what we need, clean, composed, has the run. I think he's perfect for the high half forward, and then what he can do in the midfield, just a change of pace, just another added layer, which we don't seem to have at the moment in that midfield, bring something different. We're desperate for him. And I think knowing his body, that he's now gotten through a few games of VFL football and played well, knowing we've got the bye the week after, you can kind of allow this as a bit of a free hit that if he pulls up sore, it doesn't matter. He's got another week there. And so for me, he comes straight in. And then, Akers has gone out for me. I bought Binns in for a debut because Akers is kicking at the moment is just, I don't want to see it. It's so poor. I think it does do some other things that I do like throughout the game, but I think, he's kicking just, it's costing us in so many key moments. So give Binns a go. He's been playing great in the VFL. Obviously, he didn't play this week, but I don't even care. Just bring him in. And then because of my issue, I guess a little bit around Cunners, a little bit around Jack Martin, not trusting either of those, I've gone Fisher as my sub just because I think it makes the most sense like for like-ish as far as if one of those two go down, don't make it through. You got someone that can play half forward, play small forward. If you need a burst in the midfield, he's there. Hasn't been in great form. Who has in this team at this stage, to be honest? And I think I want that impact off the bench and out of the other options, knowing his pace and at times his skill. It's probably the best option we have for that. So I think there's decently balanced in the defense, got some pace around it. Walshy again on the wing for reasons Pommy said. Just give me Dow in there and make it happen. Let's see if we can do something this week with some pace and skill around the ball.
Mate, I love it. Just to answer your question, chat, Dow is technically out and in because the way the AFL app works, a sub is technically not in the team. It's an emergency. So that's not a typo. That's just Pom being normal and following the rules. Following the rules. But no, I love the team, mate. I think all your reasons are good. I like Fish as an impact sub as well. I like the fact that we've got a player that can do something as opposed to someone slow. That was why it was nice having Dal the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Been a bit exciting having someone who can come on. And are you dropping JSOS like I was, letting JSOS go down into the Magoos and do a Jack Martin and be like Jack Martin, just being a full-time forward for a couple of weeks? Because that I thought Jack Martin last week in the short time we saw was really good because he showed us why we need someone to work them marks on the lead at high half forward, which in Jack's defense, he's been forced to do other roles, but I felt that's his native game.
It's so tough with Silvani because, I definitely don't want to see him ever go near that second ruck role again. I want him to be permanent forward if that's what he's going to play. I don't know. Even if he does go down and play twos, and maybe this is super, super harsh, I don't know where he fits in our team with the makeup of what we have in his skill set. Like he brings some pressure. He likes to push up and take some marks, but he's not pacey. He's not incredible at kicking for goal. It doesn't seem to bring that crumbing pressure and presence. I don't know where he fits, knowing we've got Mackay there. We've got Charlie Curnow having to play a second ruck at the moment with the mix we've got in a DeConing and not really having like another key forward that really plays that role. I don't know what to do with Silvani if he was in great form and where he plays. I I don't think the mix is right, but he just definitely needs to go back down there, get some form. And if he does come into this team, it's in that forward role, because at times this season against St Kilda and obviously the West Coast game, which you can asterisk that if you want, he played good footy there when he did play that more permanent forward role. It's where he just has to play if we're going to even look at him at this stage.
I'm looking at the guys you brought in, and you've got Binns, Cunningham, Dow, Cowan, Fisher. They're all, well, maybe not so much Fisher, but they're all upside guys, right? Like,
yeah,
based on what they're giving us, which is currently nothing because they're not in the team, they're upside guys. Whereas Jack Silvani, we know exactly what we're going to get out of Jack. It's, him trying hard isn't enough reason to keep him in the team. Put him down at the twos. If he can get some goal kicking form, which is where I think he could impact in the senior team, then you bring him back. But until he's doing that, I think keeping the twos. And what I'm worried about is that they send him down to the twos and play him in the ruck, because they're a little bit shallow there at the moment in the VFL side. So if he goes down and plays ruck role and plays in the midfield, I'm not really sure what I'll make of that. But that's what I'm fearful of happening. But
No, I agree. Paolo, any questions for young Ian?
I think he's explained it brilliantly. It was like he's like the winner of the debate, I think.
it was like being in a PowerPoint production.
Very measured. I think, you know what, and away from, and I know I'm bringing up something else, but I think away from these moments is that when you do these things, and when we try to do these things, we try to do them with measured heads, rather than, I mean, there is emotion attached to it, but, I think at this point in time, like, there's no, you've got to try and come up with solutions, yeah? What they are, who knows, but you've got to, as long as you can put it in your brain and heart to do it that way. But that was very, very succinct, Ian. Yeah. No real questions. I mean, I like the Binns in. I think Binns just has to play.
Yeah.
That's my thing. But we'll see what happens.
Perfect time as well with a bye next week. Because, it gives him a week to recoup from playing a faster brand of football, but also a week for feedback to really go, right, this is what I did right, this is what I did wrong. And Carlton seem to like dropping a debut player, don't they? They seem to like one in, one out. I just think this is the perfect win to bring him in, and then you can kind of semi-drop him to focus on the game and hopefully keep him in the week after.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if he's bad in his debut game, then you don't need to worry about it for another week. So don't stress.
Yeah.
Hey, there we are. You've spoken. Let's pick on Lekdog.
Yep. So I did my omissions first. Lewis Young, Ed Curnow, Tom De Koning, Jack Silvani, who I made the sub, Jesse Motlop, and Blake Acres. I can take you through those. Lewis Young, he's been bad, and I think we're too top heavy. So Wiedering, Gov, Kemp can cover that role with Cowan, who comes in for me. I'll talk about him in a second. Ed Curnow shouldn't be in the team. Drop him. Tom De Koning now, and Jack Silvani. I've dropped them both just because I think in my lineup, I've punished Patrick Cripps. And by punished Patrick Cripps, I've moved him to the forward line. I just want to see it. It's what he was successful at last year, was resting forward. And I think he was our third highest goal kicker last year, if I'm remembering correctly. I want to see him. I want to see him impact the scoreboard, and I don't think he's been very good in the midfield for a while. No effective kicks on the weekend. Yes, he's been a big body and doing the handball, but I just want to see him get some confidence. I think if he can take our mark and kick our goal, he will get a lot of confidence back. So, as a result, I don't have a backup ruck because I've dropped Tom De Koning and Jack Silvani, but I don't mind. And Lewis Young. Motlop out. We've spoken about him form. Blake Acres. I just think he's been down for quite a few weeks. Would have loved to have dropped Cottrell as well. But then I'm just, at that point, you're changing half the list. In comes Paddy Dow, who we've all spoken about. I'd love to see him get first crack, first centre bounce. Him, Chera, and Kennedy. I've got him labelled a bit differently, but I'd like Kennedy to be the Paddy Cripps at the opening bounce and allow Dow and Chera to play off him. David Cunningham comes in because there's no point playing him in the twos and seeing if he gets injured there. Play him in the ones. His upside is there. We know what that is. If he gets hurt in the ones, well, hey, we gave him a crack. he didn't make it. He's probably not on the list next year. But if it's successful, Pom, I don't want to take the words out of your mouth, but he could be the Dustin Martin-esque element of our half-forward / midfield.
Oh, man.
Everyone remembers everything I've said about Gunners. You know what I mean? All the other times I've nailed a prediction or something, everyone remembers the ones that potentially could go wrong. But no, I'm a big fan of Gunners.
But I mean, he is similar to Jack Martin in that he can be really impactful, but obviously their bodies let him down. But I'd rather their bodies let him down in the ones than in the twos.
Yep.
Jackson Binns comes in for his debut. He can rotate through the wing. He can also potentially rest forward if we need him to. I just want to see him. I think he was someone I really rated highly in the draft and was really happy that we managed to snag him. I also think he's put in the hard work and deserves a crack. He'll probably be a bit undercooked and a bit undersized in the seniors, but I don't mind that. I just want to. We now are playing for next year, right? So let's get some experience into the guys. Cowan comes back to provide some depth in defence with Lewis Young coming out. Fogarty, he comes in just because I needed someone else to come in and play for Jesse Motlop, and it was him or Zach Fisher, and I flipped a coin. So Lockie Fogarty comes in. The tackling is the main reason I gave him the edge over Fisher, and Pito comes in. Yes, Pito's the only ruck. Work it out. Just, I don't care. I don't want Tom in, and I don't want Jack Silvani in the team. So as a result, we've got one ruck. And going up against Jared Witts, they're pretty like for like. They'll have a couple of guys pinch hit around the ground. I think Ballard sometimes does it. Casbolt, Chuck Harrion in for the forward bounce, in the forward half ones, and in the defensive half ones. I don't know. Chuck Chincotta in. I don't care at this point. That's my team.
Thank you for that, Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide, Mr. 305.
305.
Are you a rap man, Lekdog? You're not really a rap man, are you?
I'm not, but there is a YouTube video that I made about 15 years ago where I do a rap video. So
I am the only one who's seen it, and honestly, can I just say, it is the cure for sadness. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, we might sneak that one out if we win a game, or if we don't win another game this year, we'll might have to leave that one out.
Oh, that's good.
I do like the Crips forward. It's interesting because I was listening to Scott, and Scott talked about they needed to get Merritt into the game. So they slotted him forward, and it's a traditional thing. I've mentioned it on the review a few times this year. Why don't we throw some players forward and let them get the ball, get their hands on the ball?
Lewis Young.
It's weird Crips. It's weird that Cripps and Kennedy are going nowhere near the forward line this year, especially when they do struggle.
Yeah, and Cripps, like when he's down on form, you can see it on the field. You can see it in his body language, in his defensive efforts. You know when he's not playing well. He takes that left foot kick out of bounds on the full. Like, we know he's in terrible form in the role that he's doing. So give him an out, give him an opportunity to impact in another way, and trust the players who, we keep saying we've got too many of the same type of midfielders. Well, let a couple of them play the Cripps role and see what happens. So, yeah, I'd like to see Kennedy and Chera running things in there with Paddy Dow as that second or third option. And then obviously Cripps isn't going to spend the whole game forward, but just I don't even mind if you leave him at full forward for the whole game, to be honest. I'd rather have someone in there than no one. The game plan of let's pull all 18 players outside of our forward 50 and bomb long bombs from 55 out. I don't think that's a particularly strong winning strategy, but if Cripps is back there with someone, he might win the matchup.
Shaun Dux.
I tweeted during the game, is this Moneyball? The general response was no, that's not what Moneyball is, pulling all of your forwards out of the forward line.
For a pessimist, you're pretty much an optimist.
Charlie, I think they thought Charlie was Stephen Curry taking half-court shots in that first quarter.
Grim.
That was funny. Just to confirm with you, Doberman, by AFL rules, if you're the sub and you're not the sub, technically you're an out to being in.
Yes.
We have tried to follow the AFL rules.
And
I
Jay
don't like
Sauce,
it.
I think, is technically not an out because he goes from playing to sub, which is
it's a weird thing. I tried to make it as real as possible. Unfortunately, I'm not Gil. If I was, I wouldn't be, but I think Lekdog's explained it well. I like it.
I just wanted to say, like, the fact that we haven't tried Cripps down forward, knowing it worked so well last year, just seems bizarre. My only question I do have, though, for Lekdog is, are you worried that you've chucked him in the pocket that you'll start to see some maybe left foot Cripper snaps? Does that alarm you at all?
It's funny. As we were loading this up, I was like, I've named him in the wrong spot in the forward line because I knew that question was coming. Yes, I think keep him as far away from using his left foot as possible. But yes, in theory, he's somewhere in the forward line.
He's working on his craft, though. He'd take that shot every time again if he could.
Okay. Someone needs to tell him no.
It's just a nice.
To be fair, though, you know what I'll say about Cripps is last year he went about like 50%, didn't he?
Yeah, he
went
was
like
good
50-60% goal kicking. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. But he
Helped
did
him win the
knock
Brownlow.
a few snaps through. People forget that he did knock a few snaps. Like that 4-goal game against Richmond, 2 of them were sexy little snaps because I remember doing the watch along, going, "This could go anywhere," and then it went straight through the middle, and I was like, "I'll just shut up now."
Well, him last year, 64 goals, Charlie Curnow, Harry Mackay, 45 goals, 109 between them. Cripps on 20, Fisher on 18, and Silvani on 17 are our next 3, and we just really don't have that this year. Like,
nope.
It's embarrassing. And let's not mention that our average goals per game is now the lowest it's been, excluding 2018, since the rebuild started.
We've had the Devils number the last 3 weeks, 666.
666, which is it's embarrassing. So this year,
make it that
Carly 38, Mackay 17, Owies is next best on 11, Motlop and Durden on 10 each. So we're getting less than a goal a game from our next 3. And it's not a very high tally.
Mate, no, it definitely midfield goals need happening. And Shane, I agree. Shane, I think they piss about with the team's waiting. It's not that hard. Like, they know the 23 on a Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like either don't name the team and do what you do in soccer and you name it an hour before the game. So it's just a fucking surprise to everyone if you want tactical surprise. But it really, because we made a joke, Lekdog, right? Shane, you've got me on a rant here, but the club stole my phrase, right? Because I said we're going to see the old late early out with Pitternet, and it fucking happened, right? Right, they actually tweeted my phrase. So just do it on the day, and everyone goes, "Oh, but Pommy, what about Supercoach? We play fantasy football like that. It's not that hard. Do you know what I mean? Just get on your computer an hour before the game."
The other thing, like, I've worked very briefly at Clubland. They literally know the team on the Tuesday. There's a couple of question marks over injuries, but they assume those guys are playing. Like, they know. Yeah. They know.
It always makes me laugh, AFL. Like, it's like MI5. Like, when you hear people talk about the AFL, it's like, but if you reveal that Cripps has got an injury, the opposition will have an unfair advantage. And it's like, that's like being at war in medieval times and your best soldier gets leprosy and you're trying to hide the fact he's got no arms, so you've secretly scored on. Like, it's fucking obvious. Do you know what I mean? It winds me up.
I've had people tell me that Port Adelaide are disadvantaging himself because they announce their team during the week and they tell you who's going to play and who's not going to play. Well, they've won like 9 games in a row, so I don't know how disadvantaged they are. Just because Ken Hinkley reveals it at the press conference.
Honestly, AFL, it's like some kind of like surprise.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like they go, "Oh my God, Crippers in. Who knew?"
Yeah. Lockie Cowan's injured his finger. We only just found out. We're naming the VFL team on Saturday. We only just found out.
Mate, I'm with you. I'm with you. And there is a typo on this one. TDK isn't out. I'm sure someone will spot it, though. I'm pretty sure someone did just mention it as well. So apologies for that. Paolo!
Yes, sir.
Your team. Talk to me.
Yes, my team. I have gone for... Is this my team? Yeah, it is my team. Backline, I have got rid of Young. Don't want to see him there. Martin, TDK, Curnow, and Jesus out. There's the typo. Follower TDK. That should be Pitternet.
That's my fault.
So no, all good. No stress. All good. Doherty, McGovern, Kemp. I think, Doherty, what do we got? Doherty, Kemp, Chincotta. What's happened there? What have I done there? Have I gone completely wrong here?
Your team that you sent me, Sard, Wheater in Marchbank, Doherty, McGovern, Kemp, Binns, Cripps, Akers, Walsh, Mackay, Cunningham. Yeah, that's me. All right. Tell you what, tell everyone your team while I fix
Ignore this. Ignore what you see on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. So from the back line, I've gone Sard, Wiedering, Marchbank, provided that he is fit, but that's... Yeah, well, that's probably 100 to 1. But anyway, then we've got Doherty, McGovern, Kemp. So that's the back line. Sard, Wiedering, Marchbank, Doherty, McGovern, Kemp. Across the centre line, I've brought in Jackson Binns. I want to see him play. I've got Cripps. I've got Akers in. And then halfback, I've gone Walsh, Mackay, Cunningham. But I wouldn't mind to see Binns and Walsh alternate as well through that sort of maybe half forward wing role. Cunningham on the other half forward flank, Harry across centre half forward. Motlop and Owies I've kept in. Charlie at full forward. Motlop I've kept in. I want to see there be an instruction to him to just stay up front. Just be a man that can stay up front and actually kick goals. I don't want to see him down back. I don't want to see him getting the ball on the bloody wing. I don't want to see him getting the ball at half back. I want to see him inside the forward line actually doing something. So that's why I've kept him in. And I've kept Owies in, obviously Charlie. We don't need to make a big song and dance about him. And then from a bench perspective, I've gone Kennedy, Boyd, Chincotta, Cottrell, and I've made Fogarty the sub just because I think he can play various roles in the team as well. And I think, I think he deserves maybe minutes. I think he deserves minutes. Maybe not a start, but definitely minutes. I think he's been okay in the reserves. So, I've taken out... I have taken out TDK and brought Pitternet back in, I think. How many marks did TDK drop? God.
Oh, mate. I've said this 1,000 times, and I'm not one to say, he should be a defender, but I've said this since day one. The only marks he clunks are in the defensive 50. Everything else, he just fumbles it.
Yeah, no, absolutely no doubt. It's very frustrating. And in the centre line, I've got, let me get it up here. I've got, Pitternet, Chera, and who else did I have through there? And Dow. I put Dow in. Nice. So I think Dow just needs to start. I don't know. I think he just deserves a spot now. I think we've seen what he's been able to do at AFL level the last 2 weeks, and he's actually just done the basics. He's really just done the basics. He's kept it really simple. He hasn't tried to overdo anything. And when he's had time and space, he's tried to use the ball and gain territory. And when he's realised he's not in a position to really hit that clinical kick and that, 25, 30-metre dart kick, he sort of tried to dish off the handball to a runner. So I've liked what he's shown at AFL 11, and I think he deserves a game. So, the big two droppings for me are big two droppings. I've worded that for. Well, they are playing like droppings at the moment. Young and TDK out. Those are the two big names.
I think it's interesting how over the weeks this series the Dow conversations progressed, because it was, well, they're not going to play him, to well, there's heaps of players ahead of him, to now I think he's legitimately just a better option than other players on our list. Like he's actually better than the players that are now ahead of him. So he definitely deserves to be in this team. And I'm really worried that they'll just go, George Hewitt in, Paddy Dow out, and which I'm worried they're going to do. It's definitely not the right decision.
Do you think, I don't know, and this is me being, I've got absolutely no idea and I've got absolutely no insight into it all. I'll ask you two and even the audience. Do you think that maybe they actually do see some sort of future for him and that they've actually tried to just revamp and regenerate him through the reserves and just get everything down pat? I don't know. I don't think they're that smart. And I don't think they'd seem like that. But could that very well be the case? I don't know. Maybe it is. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
I find the Dow thing bizarre.
Yeah.
Because you are on about Dow. Sorry, I tuned out as I was updating the thing, but you're asking about Dow.
Yeah.
With the reserves. I don't think the club see a future with him. Genuinely. And what annoys me is Dow and Binns this year by 2,000% are the most improved players I've seen in the reserves. I have never seen two players improve that much. His defensive craft, which we know Voss is a staple, has been absolutely huge. And I don't know what the thinking is, especially the subs, because I actually think the subs are costing us money at the trade table.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. His value goes up by playing him. Like, his value doesn't go down by playing him in seniors. It goes down by keeping him in the VFL or playing him as the subs. It's very, very... If they really wanted to protect his value, they'd just stop playing him all together, wrap him with cotton wool and fake injuries. So it's perplexing that he's not playing and that... Yeah, it doesn't... To answer your question, Paolo, I don't think there's a strategic plan behind why he's been stuck in the VFL.
I don't think they're that. I don't think they're that smart.
Nothing would indicate that at this point. Yeah. If you look at our player development from 2015 to now, and how we've used the VFL over that time, and how we've used it more recently, there's no reason to think that they have an actual strategy in place.
Yeah.
And knowing we're in such a rut, it just feels like Vossi just in the coaching group just don't trust him, and with somewhat their coaching careers on the line, Vossi's obviously going, do I trust him or a George Hewitt or a Kennedy or whoever? And like to some degree, you're like, I get it, but like you shouldn't be coaching like that. If that is the mentality, and knowing how poorly everything is going currently, particularly in that midfield, it's just it's bizarre. Like worst case, he comes in, you play him a game, everyone goes, yeah, wow, he was really shit, and then we're kind of off it again. But it just seems like a weird thing. Or worst case, he's amazing. And it's like, oh, okay, sweet. We've found him, we can re-sign him. And now you've got another midfielder and work it out. Get some money get a good, decent trade for, I don't know, like thrown out there stupidly. But I don't know, can you get something for Kennedy if he ends up taking his role or something like that? Like it's baffling we're not trying it, really.
I think Andy makes a good point as well, because I think no one's underestimating Power. I think he's amazing because the fact... I think the two biggest stories for Carlton this year are Dow and Power, about how Power, to be fair, the impressive development of players that in his reserves are really impressive. I think Fogarty, his depth in his game has been incredible as well. So he's been good. But Binns, I watched a lot of him as a junior. I thought he went too high when we got him, but I'll stand by this based on what he's done in the first 8 weeks of the year. If the draft was now, he would be easily a top 15, top 10 pick because his defensive craft has gone through the roof. I've noticed that with Dow this year, his defensive craft through the roof. And that is a real... That's why I was quite happy this week with his tackling, because that is something I can see he's worked so hard on, right? So hard on. Do I like him being the coach of the VFL? I'm not too sure. I think, but I have noticed
he's also limited
improvement. No, but a massive improvement now. He's putting them in position and also working out their coaching programs. I'll give him kudos.
Yeah. But he's also restricted to replicate the seniors as well. So in terms of strategy and management of players, so the fact that he's getting something out of these guys is really good. Let's pick this team.
Yeah.
Let's pick this team. Right, so I've done it a bit differently to make it faster. On the bottom, you have all the players. So we'll do one each. That's 4. And chat, I'm going to give you 2, right? Because I'm a nice guy. So we'll do the back line first. We'll start with bottom to top. Ian. Of the
I
back
will happily lock in Jordan Boyd in a back pocket. Thought his ball use was exceptional on the weekend and something we definitely need.
Wore sleeves too, which is a tip.
Yeah, we love that. Sleeve watch.
Sleeve watch. Hashtag sleeve watch. Hashtag sleeve watch.
Sleeve watch. That's all Lekdog's here for. Mr. Paolo, backline. Who are you,
Jacob Wiedering. I think he's come out of that little bit of a lull, little bit of a slump. I think he's playing with a little more freedom. I know he had a few moments on the weekend that were not great, sort of getting outdone by Peter Wright, but I don't think that was through any fault of his own, to be honest. When the balls are zipping in like that, it's difficult to stop. So I think he's sort of not completely turned a corner, but I think he's playing with a bit more of a clear head, to be honest.
Hey, I love it. And Lekdog, who were you saving?
Yeah, I will save. I'll save. I'm going to put Sam Doherty halfback. I want him back there. I'll just go to the back line, mate. You're an All-Australian defender.
Hey, do you remember? I'm glad you remember. I am going to save Chincotta. I am going to save. I like.
Jeez, he had a crack. He had a bloody crack.
Nice goal,
night, didn't he?
I like him, and I'm a sucker as well for anyone who celebrates like that. Like,
Yeah,
I am a bit of a sellout, but that felt like it was like you, me, kicking a goal at the MCG. That's how I would have reacted. So
100%.
I will save old Alex. So chat, the names should be updated on the screen now. I need 2 defensive names. So
Seeing some
far,
studs.
So far you have got Wiedering, Boyd, Doherty, and Chincotta. You need someone to play key defender and someone to play halfback.
Ben Hunt, as Kiss said, Kemp and Sard. Kemp, not many Mitch McGoverns. Can't see that yet.
Sard's definitely there. You should be able to see the names across the bottom, Adrian.
Yep.
Kemp and Sard.
Kemp and Sard.
Yeah.
Sard and Kemp.
The Kemp and Sard combination.
I think that's a lock, to be honest.
I don't even know who Gold Coast forwards are. So, Kempy, you could play on Levi. That's fine.
Yeah, you know what? Someone actually sent me a message the other day saying, how are we going to stop ranking?
We'll worry about that next year when we play Adelaide.
Oh, no.
I was like, unfortunately, rankings not there. Unfortunately. So midfield. Ian.
Bins, lock him in on the wing, please.
Love it.
Binsy debuts. This is his 3rd debut on this show. He's almost a veteran.
Third time lucky.
He's a veteran. If we were picking the team, Big Paolo midfielders.
You've got to lock in Cripper, don't you? I think he just needs to play there, and he needs to bounce back because his form's just dipped away. So you back the big fella in. Even though I've questioned the on-field leadership, hard not to, but I love him dearly, but I think he needs to take it on his shoulders again. So he is the lock, clearly.
Mate, I love it. And Mr. Lekdog.
Matt Kennedy's going to be starting in our midfield this week.
He's gone Kennedy. He's gone Kennedy. I love it. So I will save
Adrian Sell. Font is ant size.
I will save Pitternet. So chat.
Big.
Right, I've given us a thing. I've given us our ruckman. So chat, you need to fill a wing spot and a follower spot. And you've got Akers, Charles Curnow, Adam Chera, Matt Cottrell, Lockie Cowan, David Cunningham, Paddy Dow, Fisher, Fogarty, Honey, Jesus, Kennedy, Martin, McGovern, Mackay, Motlop, Owies, TDK, or Walsh. So, chat.
You've seen a couple, Walsh and Dow, Chera and Walsh, Chera, Walsh, Cripper, Pitto, Kennedy, Binns, Chera, Akers, Chera, Cunningham.
I think we can lock in Chera
there.
Yeah,
looks like Chera and Walsh.
Chera Walsh.
Yeah, I think Walsh has to start on a wing, which I don't think is a bad thing.
This is looking like a solid team. I think we've nailed it this week.
We
Jack.
nailed every week, Pom. The club doesn't listen though.
No.
You know what? Maybe they should do it like next week, like after the bye. Just give us a week.
Yeah, who have we got after the bye? They should just give us a crack.
Just let's do it.
Do we have Hawthorn or Fremantle, or is it Gold Coast?
I think it's Hawthorn. I think it's Hawthorn.
Yeah.
Let us have a run at Hawthorn.
Well, maybe they do listen because I suggested Boydie half forward and maybe on the wing, and they chucked him there for a little bit on the weekend.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe they are listening, but they need to make sure they are.
I guarantee you that someone from the club is watching this.
All decisions next time, please. That's what I'm asking for. If you're going to take one, Bins and Dow, please, if you're listening.
Hey, mate, that's what they should do. Just let us just do it 1 week just to see if we're any good.
See what happens.
Forwards. So we've got a blank forward line. So far the team is Chincotta, Wheater in Boyd, Doherty, Kemp, Sard, Walsh, Cripps, Bins, Pitternet, Kennedy, Chera, and then obviously an empty pine. So where are we going in the forward line? You first, Ian.
Half forward, and we are going David with one N, Cunningham.
Hey.
Yes!
Well, technically two, but not in the right spot.
Yeah.
David Cunningham is in. Me and Gary are very happy. Mr. Paolo, who are you bringing in? Are you bringing in Del Piero full forward?
No, I'm actually going to bring in Luca Toni so we can get a bit of that one. One of the actually, it'd be nice if Charlie kicked the goal against the Gold Coast in front of like 25,000 people and did that one.
Celebrations in football are crap. Just
they're garbage, aren't they? They're absolute garbage. I'm going to save. I'm going to go Now you know what? I'm going to save. I'm going to save Motlop.
Ooh.
I'm going to save
He's
Motlop.
a lucky boy.
I love throwing a curveball. I don't like going with the grain, Pommy. I could have picked Charlie and been, that's a great pick, Paul. Well done. You've really stepped outside the box there, picking Charlie, Paul. Well done.
That's actually from me because I was going to pick Fog.
Deal with it.
He shafted me. Mr. Lekdog, who are you going
Jack Martin, half forward. I don't trust Chat to keep him in. Jack Martin, half forward.
You don't.
I love the Chat, and they're very smart, but I don't trust them to keep Jack Martin in this side.
Oh no, he doesn't trust them. Martin, I am gonna follow your guys' lead.
Yep.
To make it interesting. We've got Cunners in. I am going to stick by what we were talking about earlier and being logical. And I am going to throw the curveball of Charlie Curnow gets saved. I will never leave Charlie. Charlie, do not worry. If you're watching, mate, I will keep you in even if you never kick a goal again. I will use it. So, chat, you have got a very interesting proposition. Let me remove Charlie's name from there and Kennedy's name from there. And that should be perfectly right.
I really like Rio's suggestion, by the way. Mitch McGovern back in the forward line. I really like that.
So, chat, you can do that, remember? Chat, you can do it. So, you've got to save two. So, you have now available to us Blake Akers, Cottrell, Cowan, Dow, Fisher, Fogarty, Honey, JSOS, McGovern, Mackay, Owies, and TDK. But you do need a key forward.
Preferably.
So
Mackay and Owies, JSOS and Fog. Jesse King's going crazy.
Mackay Owies. Mackay Fog.
It looks like Mackay is saved.
Yep.
I think
so.
Harry's
Harry's
might be as
in.
well.
Yeah.
And it looks
McGov
like
Owies.
I actually think that might be Mackay. Next vote for Owies or Fog probably gets in. Owies 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, wait.
There's a couple of Fogs.
It looks like it's Fog.
Yeah, okay. Wow, wait, all right. All right.
Chuck Plowman forward, says Gary.
We
Can
could
get him on the run.
The team.
We
on the
could
run
do,
from
but
50.
unfortunately, he was in no one's team. by the rules, we can't change
All
the
right,
rules.
fog in. Jeez, this bench is going to be interesting.
Okay, so, right, starting us off, the bench, right? You've got Akers, Cottrell, Cowan, Dow, Fisher, Honey, JSOS, McGovern, Owens, and TDK. Ian, where are you going?
It may be unpopular, but I'm looking at that back line and I want a bit more height, so I'm going to save McGovern.
It's all right. He can be the swing man. He can play forward and defense at the
There you
best
are,
of the
look.
chat.
McGov. Okay, Mr. Paolo, you've got some A-listers here. Akers, Cottrell, Cowan, Dow, Fisher, Honey, JSOS, Owens, TDK.
This is like the D-grade Hollywood film set right here.
Hey, mate, it's like prime Golden State Warriors.
Let's save Dowie.
Oh, thank God someone's done it.
I thought he was already in the team. Gee whiz. I've been resting on my laurels.
No. I was going to save him.
Thanks, mate.
I've got you,
Matt Owies will be my pick.
Owies. Yep.
Always, right. Okay, I am going to save Cowan.
Nice.
Chat.
Nice. He was good on the weekend.
I like it.
Chat, you have the
Pick a
sub.
sub from that.
So
I'll tell you
Akers,
what.
Cottrell, Honey, Fisher, JSOS, and TDK for sub.
This may sway the audience out there, but I reckon every time Matty Cottrell's been the sub, he's probably played his best game of footy. He is one of the greatest all-time subs.
I like it. I like
All
it.
Australian sub. If you were picking a man to play
Yeah.
5 minutes of football for your life, he would be it. Have a good 5 minutes for me.
Akers, TDK.
Hey, Akers.
Would Carlton be the first club in the history of the world to name Ruckman as their sub?
Yes.
Yes.
You know what? You could actually see it though, couldn't you? That TDK comes on 10 minutes and turns into prime Dean Cox.
Yeah. Oh, the secret has been unlocked.
Cotters, fish.
It looks like chat haven't taken the piss. I commend you because a part of me would have taken the piss and gone, let's totally screw the show up and make our super sub TDK. And then Pom's going to have to post that onto all of his socials. And someone will comment, Pom's lost the plot and not realize it's a team effort. I've had that so many times since doing this show going, why have you picked him, Pom? I thought you got football. Yeah. And I'm like,
look, it's
team game.
200 people went into picking this.
Yeah, I was like, it's team game. Don't blame me. You know what I mean? I am a man of the people. I am not a man of myself. But here you are, Chad, in real time.
We got him.
It's loading.
Yeah.
It ruins
Adrian
my
wants
side.
to know if Paolo's mentioned the nuke yet.
Oppenheimer will be out soon.
Tonight. Watch the jumper punch tonight and you'll have a good laugh. You'll have a very good laugh.
All right, here we go.
There we are, chat. This is your team to play the Gold Coast Nuns. Chincotta.
Oh, wow.
Pommy.
Oh, what?
Hey, mate, I had ravioli last week. I am practically Italian.
Cultured pronunciation. I love it.
Hey, Doherty, Kemp, Sard, Walsh, Cripps, Bins, Cunningham, Kerno, Martin, Fogarty, Mackay, Motlop, Pitternet, Kennedy, Chera, McGovern, Dow, Cowan, Owens, and Cottrell. That is the most English named team apart from the novelty Italian we've got at the start and at the end.
It's typical Carlton. You need the staple Italian in your team, don't you?
Hey, do you know what I mean? We've done it, but I actually think that team is the dog's bollocks, if I may say so myself.
Big fan.
Yeah, I might shift a couple of bench players onto the field, but the actual group of players, I think it's a decent mix. And I almost feel bad that Cottrell's had to go back to being the sub, but I think we'll get the same stats out of him if he's on for a quarter as we did last week, because that's just how he plays.
That's actually a great point. That's a great point.
Pom, can you say Salern? Well, I've got to get my Italian.
Salerno.
You'll milk the fuck out of the RMN, no doubt. So I'd imagine it'll be
Salerno.
Salerno.
Rio asked, we need Mars on this show. Rio, if Mars was on this show, there'd be no team. So
Imagine Mars. Next. Next to me. But talking about Mars, Paolo, you've got a very special, beautiful guest, haven't you, tonight?
Do. Yes.
Who is your guest?
Matula Niokli. Matula Niokli. Now, it's funny, her actual last name sounds like it's near Oakley, and she's Greek, so that makes sense. So she's joined us on the show. She won our little fan raffle competition thing that we did, and she had it from the left ear and the right ear, and she was just sat there, and she was a little bit nervous, but she did a really good job with us. So yeah, it's good to hear good to hear her little Carlton story and what she's thinking about the current plight of the club. So be sure to get on it. We're 10 minutes in now, so
yep. So go and jump over there.
Yep.
Ian, what do we know from you this week? What are you doing?
We're recording a pod pretty much as soon as we finish this one. So Navy Blue Corner pod will be out early tomorrow morning on all your streaming services. I think I might have cut out. Navy Blue Corner on your streaming services and YouTube if you're interested in having a listen. Should be some interesting chats this week.
Oh, yes.
Make sure you check it out. And Lekdog, what are you doing this week?
I'll go record a Super Coach pod after this. Jock Reynolds on Twitter, website, etc. But there's no point jumping on at this point. I've only got 10 weeks left, and then I'm retiring. So, so catch me up on Teams on catch me and Pom on Teams on Thursday on Blue Abroad. It's
who do you do that show with? Who do you do that show with? I've heard he's pretty good looking.
Yeah, he's a pretty attractive bloke, pretty funny. Gives me life advice, almost a father figure to me. So,
oh, fuck yeah, I'm not that old. Come and check us out. Make sure you like and subscribe. Look after yourselves. Thank you very much for joining. Go and check Jump a Punch out now. We'll see you in the comments. Much love. See you soon.
There you go.